The Knights are going to be my Hills Cricket Academy lock of the week this week. That's right. I'm going to go with the Knights. I think they're going to win here 1 to 12 and really are going to make a charge towards these finals that I really didn't think that they would.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
What's going on, guys? Bergs here from The Casual Athlete. And yes, I apologize about the long intro, but in my opinion, it needed to be said. It wasn't a great week for me last week, and in a round where we only needed 5 tips, I only managed to get 2 correct. But we have to move on, and we have the Origin Decider as well as round 20 tips. But before I get into that, guys, just a reminder to like and subscribe to our channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, so hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Let's just take a quick snapshot of how I did last week, guys, and I tell you what, I don't want to go into too much detail about it. We went the Rabbitohs on Friday night, and that was a misstep on my behalf. I should have really recognised the outs. They had a lot more. I thought that they were coming back towards the end of the game, made it very close, but they just didn't have enough gas in the tank to go with the Dolphins on this occasion. Dolphins at home as well, always a tough one. And the Rabbitohs, well, their winning streak unfortunately comes to an end, but it has been an impressive little streak nonetheless. For the Sharks, man, I just thought this would be a lot closer than it actually ended up being. Tigers came out with no effort, no energy, just didn't look like they wanted to be there, and the Sharks jumped all over them. Their outside backs once again coming to the floor. Katoa and Mulatalo having a field day. The Titans, they beat the Eels in a close one, and I predicted that correct 100%, which is great. We got the margin there as well, and it's good for the Titans. They are mounting what looks like to be a little bit of a run here. We'll see who they're playing this week. I'm pretty sure it's Manly, so Des is heading back to Manly, and that is always a good matchup to watch, so keep your eye out for that prediction this week. The Broncos, man, could they just not break the streak? And now they've lost 6 in a row, and no team has ever lost 6 in a row during the regular season and gone on to win the premiership, and that's sad for the Broncos fans out there. They would have wanted a bit of a better effort coming into this year, considering they made the grand final, and now they don't even look like they're going to make the finals. And the Knights, tell you what, they were very similar to the Tigers this week. They didn't come out with any effort. There was a very dubious forward pass call for Manly's first try. Great debut from Jamie Humphries on that one, other than that forward pass, but the right side attacked for Manly, and left side really. Lehigh Hopewadi had a field day. Right side attack humming with Jason Saab, and Turbo looked to be back to his best as well. But that is it for the tips from last week, guys. Let's just have a look at where that leaves everybody in the tipping comp that we are running this year with NRLtipping.com, and we still have Jeff in first place. However, Chris has made a little bit of a comeback into second place there, and Callan moves down to third position. Guys, keep putting in your tips each and every week. I do update everybody on how the tipping comp is going in my videos every Monday, so make sure that you look to see your name in the top 10. That is all I reveal. Now, let's get into this week's tips, guys. Come on, let's get a comeback going. We start round 20 by talking about Origin on Wednesday night, and I've got to say this has been one of the best deciders to look forward to in recent years. I've got to say, I think the Blues are a little bit underrated in this one. They come into it as underdogs, and that is a positive for me. If they were going in as favourites at Suncorp as well, I wouldn't be as confident. For you guys, if you want to know more information about this game, Long In, I did a video on it last week. You can go watch that one. I will put it at the end of the video so that you can have a look at our full breakdown, full prediction, and our reaction to the team lists as well. As we know, Bradman Best, we're still waiting to see if he's going to be 100% available for this game. And they have brought Joseph Suaalii back into the squad. Has not played a game since Origin 1, so it'd be very interesting to see if Bradman Best does pull out and Joseph Suaalii could get his chance at revenge. As far as the tip goes in this one, I really feel like the Blues, and I said this in our video last week, the Blues have been winning that forward battle in games 1 and 2. I just think they've got a better pack than Queensland. It's bigger, it's meaner. They definitely bashed them up in game 2. We've got to expect a retaliation. Yes, the Blues. I'm talking as a Blues fan here. I say we, like I'm part of the team, but we've got to expect that Queensland are going to come out of the blocks quick in this one. I expect Queensland to get off to a pretty good start in this game, but I think the Blues can run them down. They've got the firepower to do so. There's no Latrell there, but I back Bradman Best to the hilt, and Moses. Hopefully he can recapture that form that we haven't seen at club level, but we definitely did see in Origin 2. Blues, 1-12, baby. Come on, let's get one. Break this current streak of the Queensland Maroons. The first game of round 20 takes us down to GIO Stadium in Canberra, where the Raiders will be taking on the New Zealand Warriors. And for the last 10 games, the Warriors have the better record. They've won 6 out of those last 10 games against the Canberra Raiders. The good news, though, for the Raiders is they are scheduled to get Jamal Fogarty back this week, and that should add some much-needed direction to this team that has gone wayward in the last month or so. For the Warriors, they're also coming off the bye in this one, as well as the Raiders, and should get a couple of guys back in Dallin Watene-Zelezniak and Tohu Harris. For this game, I feel like the Raiders are being underrated by the bookies in this one. Yes, they don't have a great record at GIO Stadium, and yes, both of these teams can be considered two fading teams and possibly not performing to their best potential in the last month or so. The Warriors were mounting a comeback into this season, and it's stunted a little bit, and the Raiders, well, they have just dropped off the face of the planet, dropping out of the 8 as well with it. I do think that Jamal Fogarty adds so much to this Canberra side. He adds all the kicking game. He is so good at it. He's, in my opinion, one of the top 5 kickers in the competition when he is on his game. And I've got to say, where does that put KO Weeks? He has been electric for them since he's come into the side. And you got to say that, yes, they won a few games when he came in, but Fogarty just adds that real stability that you need in the halfback role. Fogarty's a genuine 7 as well, and KO Weeks has actually been pretty decent at fullback, which is what I consider to be his natural position. And with his speed out the back, I really feel like they have a great attacking chance, an attacking weapon that they can use against the Warriors, because their attack has been lacking a lot of late since he possibly moved back to that fullback role. They haven't really got their shapes in order and all that. For the Warriors, man, again, Tamari Martin will probably suit up in the number 7 role, and as we've said on this channel before, he turns into Superman. So we really don't know what to expect. The Warriors have won the last 3 in a row against the Raiders. They got a win against them earlier this year as well. A quite tough win, you would say, 18-10, but it wasn't exactly, a comprehensive one. The Raiders in this one, though, they're going to be my Hills Cricket Academy lock of the week. I'm getting it out of the way this week early. The Raiders are underdogs in this one. Yes, it's somewhat turned into the Hills Cricket Academy curse at this point in time, and no doubt our sponsors aren't happy with me at this point in time, but I just feel like the Raiders, if they get Jamal Fogarty back for this game, they've got a great chance of overturning this losing streak and putting a smile on old Ricky's face. Let's go Raiders, 1-12. Super Saturday starts up on the Central Coast, where we've got the Rabbitohs taking on the Tigers. Now, over the last 10 games, the Rabbitohs have absolutely smacked the Tigers. They've won 8 out of the last 10 games against the Tigers. They're also on a current 3-game winning streak against the Tigers. The last Tigers win coming in 2021 by 1 point. And I've got to say, for the Tigers, man, it was just not great from them last week. I really hated what I saw from them. There was a slight chance that they could have really upset the Sharks had they come out with the right attitude and the right gumption to be able to, upset a Shark side that really isn't travelling that well at the moment and also is missing their marquee player. And man, they just bottled it so bad. It was like I was watching the Tigers that got beat by 70 a couple of years ago against Melbourne. That's how bad it was. For the Rabbitohs, man, they stormed home late against the Dolphins and just really couldn't get over the line, as I spoke about earlier in my recap. But I think for this game, they're really coming up against an opposition that you can't predict. At this point, the Tigers, they seem to want to turn up at Leichhardt. And apart from that, they don't really turn up at any other stadium. It's like you get there and kickoff's happening and you're like, well, 5 minutes in, you're like, well, better turn it off. The Tigers are going to get beat by 40. I think in this one, the Rabbitohs will get the win here. They've really only got, I think it's Cam Murray backing up from Origin, and the Tigers don't really have any Origin players to speak of either. I don't think they have any. So In this one, I'm going to be going the Rabbitohs pretty heavily, 13 plus. I just don't see the Tigers winning this game at all. But you know what? They could surprise me. They've surprised the Rabbitohs in the past, and the Rabbitohs, they probably want to be hungry for it because they can still make the finals at this stage. It's not over. They can make a run, but it's got to be completely coherent this week against the Tigers because they could pop it out, and you never know. Rabbitohs, 13 plus. The next game on Saturday takes place in Newcastle at McDonald Jones Stadium, where the Knights will be taking on the Brisbane Broncos. Now, over the last 10 games, the Broncos have the better record. They've won 6 out of the last 10 games against the Knights, but this has been a tale of streaks. The Broncos, they're currently on a 4-game winning streak against the Knights, but prior to that, the Knights had a 4-game winning streak against the Broncos. Are the Knights going to end another 4-game winning streak between these two teams? Well, we'll see who backs up from Origin is the key question for me in this one. Ponga, Bradman Best, and Dane Gagai for the Knights, and then Reece Walsh, Carrigan, Payne Haas, Selwyn Cobbo, all looking to back up for Brisbane in this game, you would think. For the Broncos, they took a massive hit on the weekend. They needed to win that game against the Dragons, but once again, their defense just broke down, let them down early in the game, and they were always chasing it after that. They were down by 22 at one point, ended up making it pretty close, but yeah, it's not good enough to come home with a wet sail in a game where, the Dragons just managed to hang on. And, if there was probably another 10 minutes left in that game, the Broncos could have ended up winning by, let's say, 10 to 12 points. But they didn't. And they've only won 7 games this year. And it's probably an outlook where you think the Broncos are probably going to miss the finals at this point in time. I'm probably going to do a deeper dive on the Broncos and all the teams that are in contention for the finals this year and just navigate their chances, give what I think are my thoughts on how they're going to achieve the finals this year or whether they're going to drop out, and see whether the path forward for them is a good one or a bad one. For the Broncos, man, they need to win this game. They cannot go down to McDonald Jones Stadium and get a loss. And what I love in this game, it's going to be the battle of the Queensland fullbacks. We're possibly going to see Ponga up against Reece Walsh. And Ponga, he's only played 1 game since he came back. He looked pretty good, but he didn't get the ball enough, in my opinion. And for Reece Walsh, it's been an up and down year for him. Terrible Origin 2. I expect him to bounce back in Game 3. He's a champion player, always tries to bring his best to the floor, but he does have flaws as well that you can exploit. And for Ponga, he also has very similar flaws to Reece Walsh. They're 2 very similar players. And I've got to say, with the performance of the Knights, the rest of the team put in last week, if they turn up at their home ground and do that again for the Broncos coming to town, they won't get a sniff in this one. And I feel like, because I tipped them last week and I haven't been really tipping them all year, I'm not going to tip them this week. I'm not going to go with the Knights. I think the Broncos go down to McDonald Jones Stadium and get a win and break this streak. It's been 6 losses in a row. Surely they are due for a win this week and continue that 4-game winning streak against the Knights. Broncos, 1-12. Big blockbuster game coming your way, NRL fans, on Saturday night. We have the Storm taking on the Roosters down at Amy Park, and these two teams have had massive clashes in the past, but since 2020, the Melbourne Storm have absolutely dominated this fixture. They've won 9 out of the last 10 games against the Roosters, and you would obviously say, considering that the NRL loves to talk this up as a massive rivalry, you would expect that maybe the Roosters have got a couple more wins in the last 4 years than that. But I think since they won those 2 premierships, and especially beating the Storm in one of those grand finals, the Storm have really aimed up against the Roosters. Their only win coming in 2022, 18-4 as well. So they didn't get a massive win, although the wins in this one really could go either way a lot of the time. More often than not, though, the Storm have gotten the win 1-12, and that's probably where I'm going with this one this week. I just feel like the Storm, even though the Roosters have the bigger forward pack, they probably definitely have the better forward pack. If Harry Grant backs up from Origin, then they're really home free. He's really their only player that they need to worry about, whereas the Roosters, they have Angus Crichton playing Origin. They've got Spencer Leniu playing Origin. There's risk involved there. They do have Connor Watson also playing Origin and Lindsay Collins. So they got 4 players backing up for Origin in this one. Tough for me to say for the Roosters that they go down there to Amy Park and win this one. And even though I think they have a very big, very strong forward pack, they will be without Jared Hargraves in this one. I just feel like the Storm, they always find ways to deal with teams who have a bigger forward pack than they do. Storm, while they're small, they are mobile and they are getting with the current game. The Roosters, a bit more old school in terms of size, but their pack is powerful, man. Really interesting game to watch. I will definitely be watching this one, just considering the past history between these two teams and the great games that they have put on in the past. But I've got to go with the Storm, 1-12. We move on to Sunday's games now, and the first one takes place out at Penrith, where the Panthers take on the Dolphins, and the big question on everyone's lips is, will Nathan Cleary suit up for this game? He said he was targeting the game after their bye round, or their last bye round, and everyone is waiting on bated breath to see if he is going to be wearing the number 7 in black this week. For the Panthers as well, they do have a number of players backing up from Origin in this one, in Jerome Luai, Liam Martin, and Isaiah Yeo also in the Origin side. So we'll have to see if those players are going to be backing up from Origin. And the Dolphins, well, their most important player is playing Origin this week. Yes, they got a win last week, and not everything was, I would say, hunky-dory. They would have gotten a little bit nervous towards the end of the game with Souths coming home with an absolute wet sail. But I just think the hammer is so important to what they do, and he can produce a moment of magic from anywhere. He has done it before against Penrith in a Cowboys uniform. I would love to see him be able to do it again this week for the Dolphins, but I just feel like if Cleary comes back into this side, this is going to be a no contest. I love the Dolphins. I love what they're doing this year. I love that they're right in the range of finals contention this year. You would probably say they're going to be playing finals at this point, and that is so awesome for the newest club in the competition. But I just think going down to Penrith, it's tough to do. I know the Cowboys did it a couple of weeks ago, but geez, it's the Dolphins, their first time playing out there. It's tough. It's a tough road game for them. They're much better up in Queensland where they like it. I just think Penrith get the better of them here. 13 plus. We go to Brookvale Oval for the second game on Sunday, where the Seagulls will be taking on the Titans. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, it is split down the middle, 5-5, and to me, that's just how Desi would like it in this one. He got embarrassed earlier in the season against the Seagulls, and no doubt his Titans are looking for the revenge that they solely deserve at this point in the season. They are charging at the moment. They're fitter than they were at this point in the season that they played Manly last time. And Manly, man, they're struggling in their forward rotation at the moment. A lot of players out, and they've got Jake Trebojevic backing up from Origin as well. Olakwatu didn't get selected for Origin, so he will be available for the Seagulls. But DCE is also playing Origin, and it can be taxing on that 34-year-old body that he has. For the Titans, they don't have anyone playing Origin, and they were clinical against Parramatta last week. Again, Parramatta didn't really throw a lot at them, and no doubt the Seagulls' attack is much more potent than the Eels is at the moment, especially with Mitch Moses being out of the side. I just thought Tom Trebojevic was back to his natural position. He looked much more comfortable back in that fullback role. Not sure the centre move is a good one. If he gets moved back to the centres for this game, I find that a bit weird. I know they had a young fullback, I think it was Sasolo, play on the bench last week. He's a fullback as well as Lehigh Hopewadi. Had a great game on the wing, 2 tries and a try assist. So you'd probably say that they just stick with Tom at this point in time. They're in the top 8. It's probably their best chance of making the finals with Tom in his natural position. And for this Titans side, they don't give up points easy. It's a really difficult tip for me, this one, to wrap my head around. I just feel like Desi has worked something out with the Titans, and I'm going to be going with them for the upset this week. That's right, I'm going to be tipping the Titans. I just feel like Desi's cooking something up. He's got it in the works, and they're going to go down to Brookvale and upset the Manly apple cart and hopefully grab a win, 1-12. The last game of round 20 is up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, where the Cowboys take on the Dogs. And I've got to say, over the last 10 games between these two teams, it is split once again down the middle, 5-5. So I'm going to be torn one way between the Cowboys, one of the best attacking teams in the competition, against the Dogs, who are one of the best defensive teams in the competition. Man, Tell you what, I'm super impressed with what I've seen from the Dogs this year. They have just been on another level and are really fortifying, buying into that culture that Ciro has brought in, and it is working for them this year. For the Cowboys, a little bit of a resurgence in recent times. Went through a golden patch, then a rough patch. Now it's a bit more of a golden patch again. They were disappointing 2 weeks ago against the Manly Sea Eagles, and that was with their origin players in the side. I don't know what they're going to be like with their origin players backing up as well in this game. I just feel like the Cowboys players that aren't playing in the team each and every week are more hungry. They have more desire. The guys that are playing each and every week, who most likely, most of them play Origin, considering we have 6 players playing Origin again, they tend to drop the ball, they tend to make mistakes, and we ended up putting ourselves in a hole against Manly and had to dig ourselves out of it once again. Not the way to play football in this current NRL, and especially against a team like the Dogs. If you give them a lead, then you're possibly not getting it back. The Dogs, man, they are tenacious on defense. They scrap for every single tackle. There's so much scrambling going on, and their line speed is incredible. But I have seen a big improvement on the defensive side for the Cowboys in recent times. We don't let teams run over the top of us. We just got to get out of our own way, and we can play the kind of football that we are used to seeing from the Cowboys, that free-flowing, flair, attacking football from Scott Drinkwater and the like. I am going to back my Cowboys this week. I think they end this little run that the Dogs are on currently. I just feel like the Dogs, they have quite a few outs at this point in time. Not that that hasn't stopped them from winning in the last couple of games, but they also have Stephen Crichton backing up from Origin once again. He is going to be backing up from his 3rd Origin game in this one. It's tough. I know we have 6 Origin players out, and I'm probably contradicting myself quite a lot here, but I just feel like the Cowboys are about to go on a kind of run that could see us end up in the 5 to 8 range in the top 8. I'm going to go the Cowboys 1 to 12. So that is it for the video this week, guys. What do you think about my tips? Let me know down in the comment section below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week. Stay classy, and I'll catch you on the next one.